Hi, I'm Scott LaMar for The Spark. Today we're coming to you from Cherry Crest Adventure Farm in Bronx, Lancaster County. Has a world-renowned corn maze. We'll be talking a lot about the corn maze. It's internationally known, but there's so much more. It's almost like an amusement park. Jack and Donna Coleman, thank you very much for having us here today.
Welcome.
Welcome, thanks for coming.
You're the owners of Cherry Crest Adventure Farm. When people think of Cherry Crest, maybe the first thing that comes to mind, at least years ago, but maybe it still does, is the corn maze. How long has the corn maze been around?
28 years, and for years and years our corn maze was a crown jewel of Cherry Crest. It still is, but there's so many other things here, it's competing with it. There's families spend hours and hours here all day, and they still can't get enough.
When you say that it was the crown jewel, what do you mean by that?
It was the crown jewel of the property. It was the most fun thing to do. People just enjoyed. There's different ways to do the maze. There's three different challenges: easy, medium, and hard for those hardcore people. So there's various levels.
So you have gotten a lot of recognition for the corn maze. USA Today. Now this is a national survey. Maybe there are people internationally who are voting as well, but the corn maze has been voted in the top 10 for the last several years. You won as the best corn maze in 2020. It's being voted on again this year. So what sets this corn maze apart, Donna?
I think it's the interactiveness of our corn maze. We have a lot of activities going on in the maze. You have to find them in order to enjoy the fun part, but yeah, there's a lot of interaction in our corn maze, not only trying to find pieces to the puzzle to build your map and find your way out, but also play while you're in there.
So it is not just walking in and finding a way out. It is not just a simple maze.
No, it is not just a simple maze. There's a lot of logic, and that's the reason why we have 3 ways to do it. Because the people who are really serious about it will often spend 2 to 3 hours in there.
When you say serious about it, I've heard you before we started talking use the term mazers. Is that a thing?
It is. People go from maze to maze just to do these things, and they like we call it the ultimate challenge, to get all the mailbox pieces and all the kernels of knowledge. And yet, if you just want to be in for 10 or 15 minutes, you can do the easy challenge, get the feel for it, and be out. You're not trapped in there.
Have you ever had anyone trapped?
Yeah, we get them the next day.
How do you get them? I'm joking. So let's look back a little bit. You said 28 years.
Yeah.
How did you come up with the idea?
Want the long version or the short version?
Give me the short version first.
Well, there was a fellow by the name of Don France that worked for Disney. He did Broadway productions like Beauty and the Beast and Lion King, and he was flying back and forth from New York to LA right when the Field of Dreams came out. And that sparked his idea, hey, we could do a maze in a cornfield. And so he was the first one in 1993 to do a corn maze at Lebanon Valley College in Pennsylvania. That was his alma mater. And we got the idea from that and said, hey, we got the perfect location. Let's try that. So we got a hold of Don, and we're still working with Don today.
In that movie,
Yeah.
Kevin Costner's character was criticized for cutting his corn down.
Yeah.
People said, that guy's nuts. He's cutting his corn down. That's his product.
Yeah.
Were there people who thought, okay, I won't use the term nuts like they did in the movie, but were there people saying, what about all the corn that you're cutting down?
Yeah, that's what the local people. Are these guys nuts? Exactly. yeah, same deal.
So when you came up with the idea 28 years ago, how did the two of you, and was Don involved, or how did you come up with the design for what the maze would look like?
Well, being next to the Strasburg Railroad, it was a perfect fit. Our first year was the locomotive. So it was a perfect tie-in with the train. So Don and I and Don worked together, and that's what we came up with.
Is it different every year?
Different every year. Yep.
How much thought goes into planning for it?
We're starting this time for next year already. So we're trying to be a year ahead of time.
Donna, does it take a lot of imagination, a lot of creativity, come up with something new?
Yes, sometimes it does, but we started now having a list of things we'd like to eventually do, so it's not so hard every year we sit down to think about it.
So this year is a beehive.
Yes.
So what would that look like? I mean, we're going to see the overhead of the corn maze, but in what way does it look like a beehive?
So it has the different honeycombs of what the bees produce in their home, if you will. And then there's a few bees here and there. You'll see that once you see the overview of the whole thing. And, you know, our theme is be kind.
Ah, okay. See, I was going to ask about bees, honey, bees, and agriculture because there's been so much attention in the last few years about bee colonies dying off and the part they play in our food system. Was that something you thought about?
Yeah, absolutely. People don't realize the importance of bees, especially like vegetable crops, fruit trees. Very important for bees. Pumpkins we grow, they need to be pollinated, and you need the bees. So bees play a tremendous role in agriculture.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you mentioned the pumpkins that you grow. I wanted to move on to the other things at Cherry Crest Adventure Farms because it started off, as you said, as the corn maze being the crown jewel.
Right.
But it is much more than that. I've heard it described as an amusement park, an agricultural amusement park. What all do you have here now?
That's hard to explain in a short time. But there's 60 different activities, and we're very themed to agriculture. You're not going to find amusement rides here. The difference between us and amusement ride, you get on a ride and the ride gives you the thrill. Here, you have to produce the thrill. So there's some self-fulfillment by you doing the empowering, whatever it may be, whether it's pulling a tractor or
Pedaling a cart.
Pedaling a cart.
Yeah.
So when you get done with it, you feel, hey, I accomplished something. This is good. So people feel great about it here. I mean, we've had numerous comments. They love coming here versus going to amusement park.
I imagine that there are a lot of people that maybe come from an urban area or they're not familiar with farms and the country. What kind of reaction do you get from them?
It's actually amazing because there are people who have never been this close to a corn stalk in their whole entire life. And you still get the kids who think their milk comes from the grocery store, you know, or their corn is produced at the store itself. They don't understand the whole concept. So that's one of the main reasons why we started this as well, is to educate the public about where their food comes from and where would they be without farmers.
What are some of the best reactions you've gotten over the years?
Well, some people think they can come in here and pull the corn off of the stalk and eat it, but they can't do that because it's field corn.
It's cow
not
corn,
sweet corn.
right? Yeah.
And it's stopped by the trains.
So the Strasburg Railroad locomotive just went through here. What part does that play at Cherry Crest?
It's a lot of nostalgia, the old steam engine. So it kind of fits right into the farm, kind of like back in time.
Yeah. You were, the two of you in Cherry Crest, were pioneers in what today is known as agritourism. Did you think of it that way when you started this?
No, it's just one of those things that we had no idea this would turn into what it did. But it's been a blessing. We have 4 children coming into the business now, taking over, so it's been good.
What's your favorite part of it?
Just watching families. There could be 3 generations here, from kids to parents to and they're all having fun. There's something here for all generations.
And the interesting part is that somewhere back in everybody's family line, somebody came from a farm somewhere. So there's lessons to be learned about their, genealogy and where they came from.
This farm has been here, this land has been farmed since the 1770s.
Yes, sir.
When you talk about history and genealogy, and now that's not your family, the farm's been sold several times,
Right.
but you ever get chills just thinking about that?
I know. This farm dates back to 1774, and it was it came. Madame Mary Farie came here from France and met up with William Penn, and William Penn granted her 3,000 acres in this area, and her grandkids and her grandson, they made Conestoga wagons. They were made here on this farm.
Oh. So how many acres do you have now compared to then?
This farm's 200 acres.
What was it then?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. But is it smaller or?
No, it's stayed the same. Actually, let me correct. This farm by itself is 110 acres. It always was, and it still is. We have a neighboring farm that added 90, so it's 200.
Something else that many people who visit may not realize is that you continue to farm this land.
Yeah.
Maybe not right here. Yes, this is field corn.
Yeah.
It will be cut down, harvested in November. But what else do you have as far as a working farm?
Yeah, we grow 300 or 400 acres of crops. We have a beef, cow, calf operation, as well as we have for other houses, we grow chickens.
What makes more money for you?
The Adventure Farm's doing well. It's nice having a blend, because if you have an off year, one can pick up the other.
Yeah. Is agritourism growing?
It is. It is.
How do you see that?
You can see it because people want to get out. Especially like over COVID, people wanted to get outside. They enjoy the outdoor, and COVID gave the whole agritourism industry a boost, and we're still seeing it today.
Jack and Donna Coleman, thank you very much for being with us today.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're listening to The Spark on WITF. I'm Scott LaMar.
For more from Mosaic, please like and subscribe to the channel or check out another video. To help support this project, please visit witf.org/mosaic.